The Brazilian Grand Prix was an absolute disaster for Ferrari. They've had some bad weekends this year, but Brazil was one of their worst. However, one bad weekend is not the entire story behind what's happening at Ferrari at the moment. Drivers are calling out the team for the car being awful. The Ferrari chairman is calling out the drivers for talking too much, and behind it all, performances are declining and the team are set for only their second finish outside the top 3 in the last decade. The anger and disappointment is starting to bubble over, and Ferrari are falling apart right in front of the public. Today, I'll check out the fallout from the Brazilian Grand Prix, the shocking statement from John Elkann, and how the Ferrari dream is falling apart for Hamilton. So don't go anywhere. So, the Brazilian Grand Prix. We can all agree it was an excellent race. That is, as long as you aren't a Ferrari fan, of course. From Friday afternoon, you knew it was going to be a bad weekend for them. Hamilton missed out on Q3 in sprint qualifying, while Leclerc could only manage 8th, being beaten by both of the Aston Martins. On Saturday morning, they did both manage to improve into the points, but in qualifying for the main event, Hamilton again underperformed, only managing 13th on the grid while his teammate was 3rd. Things carried on going badly in the Grand Prix, with Leclerc getting unfortunately caught up in Antonelli and Piastri's battle early in the race, sustaining damage when the Italian hit him and having to retire. Hamilton had no such bad luck. His retirement later on was all his own doing. After tumbling down the order on lap 1, he started his recovery drive by rear-ending the Alpine of Franco Colapinto, destroying his front wing and floor, which eventually forced him to retire halfway through the race. It was a completely uncharacteristic mistake from Hamilton, but one that perhaps should be seen as a consequence of the pressure and poor performances that have characterized his season. After the race, Ferrari's chairman seemed to finally hit breaking point, calling out Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc and telling them they need to focus on driving and talk less. To be fair, the Ferrari drivers do need to start bringing in some points. Ferrari dropped to 4th in the Constructors' Championship from 2nd as a result of the race. They are 36 points behind Mercedes and 4 adrift of Red Bull, with 3 Grand Prix and a sprint race remaining. Elkann said at an Olympic sponsorship event in Rome on Monday that the team's mechanics and engineers were performing well, but if we look at the rest, it is not up to scratch. He added, "And we definitely have drivers who need to focus on driving and talk less, because we still have important races ahead of us, and getting second place is not impossible. In Bahrain, we won the World Endurance Championship title. When Ferrari is united, we get results." It should be said that Ferrari don't handle the WEC team in-house, which makes this comment strange. The race operations are outsourced to AF Corsa, and it is race operations that have been a big problem for the team in recent years, but that's getting very off track. Elkann publicly stepping up and calling out his drivers is a massive deal. While this is the first we may have heard from him, these conversations would have been happening in the background already. However, Elkann has had to listen to his drivers fire shots at the team all season, and as they've struggled to make an impact on the front of the grid. Clearly, Hamilton's comments after the Brazilian Grand Prix have gone a step too far for him, and he took his opportunity to defend his factory team in the media. Complaints to the media about his car were a big feature of Hamilton's last few seasons at Mercedes, and it did push Toto Wolff to go to the media to defend his team as well. However, Wolff stuck with his driver for far longer than Elkann has. In the same way that Hamilton was probably expecting more from the team in terms of quality of the car he's been provided this season, Elkann was probably expecting more from Hamilton when he hired him on a record-breaking contract for this season. Elkann's remarks reflect the frustration and disappointment of Ferrari, who came close to becoming Constructors' Champions last year but have failed to win a Grand Prix this season. The drop-off has been astonishing. McLaren, who beat Ferrari by only 14 points last year, won the title with 6 races remaining this season. The Constructors' Championship determines the team's prize money, and each position gained close to the top is worth approximately $10 million over the place below. It is a big deal for the teams, even if the drivers aren't as bothered. So what was it that Hamilton said that triggered Elkann's response? And how did the team recover from this very public falling out? Well, before I talk about that, if you're enjoying the video and want to catch more news and analysis on F1 as this season reaches its climax, then please press the like button and subscribe to F1 Reverse. Thanks a lot. So, for the Ferrari chairman John Elkann to go public and say that his drivers need to do less talking and more driving, there must have been something that really pissed him off about the Brazilian Grand Prix. It's likely that this anger has been building over time, but something in Brazil must have triggered his comments. Obviously, the performance of both his drivers and the double DNF will have been upsetting, but for him to go after his drivers in the way he did, it must have been something one of them said, and the obvious culprit appears to be Hamilton. After retiring from Sunday's Grand Prix, Hamilton said his first season at Ferrari had been a nightmare. "This is a nightmare, and I've been living it for a while. The flip between the dream of driving for this amazing team and the nightmare of the results we've had, the ups and downs, is challenging," Hamilton told Sky Sports. In a separate interview, he said, "It's obviously a disaster for us, a disappointment for everyone in the team, but I'm trying to keep my head above water. I'm trying to remain positive. Charles did a great job in qualifying, so there is some performance in our car. At this point, I just have to believe that something will come out of all these hardships we're going through. I'm sure we're destined for something positive in the future. Maybe we're getting all of our bad luck out the way this year. We won't give up." Hardly a scathing criticism of the team's mechanics, but still, you can understand Elkann's annoyance. Hamilton is costing the team £50 million a year, but at the moment, he's not been showing the level of performance that made him the most successful driver in the sport's history at Mercedes. The Ferrari chairman obviously wants to see some kind of return on the big investment the team have made, but calling out Hamilton like this is never the way to make it happen. In doing so, he's also caught Charles Leclerc in the crossfire, and that is a bigger problem for the team at the moment. The Monegasque has been by far the better of the two Ferrari drivers this season, and has been the best driver on the team for roughly half a decade. He's sacrificing the best years of his F1 career for Ferrari and getting very little in return in the way of a championship-challenging car, despite having proven himself worthy of one years ago. Replace Leclerc with a lesser driver, and Ferrari looked like they could have gone the entire season without a podium. The problem is that Leclerc's patience with the team has to be wearing thin. He's voiced his frustration a few times this season, and potentially has a breakpoint in his contract at the end of next season. If he did decide to go, there would be plenty of suitors as well. The problem for Ferrari is that he is their prized asset, and if Elkann wants to go public saying that his drivers aren't delivering enough, then that's going to upset Leclerc, who is quite clearly the better performing driver right now. Ferrari are trying to frame his comments as motivational in the Italian media, but if that was what they're meant to be, then it is perhaps the worst motivational speech in the history of sport, not just Formula One. Neither driver said anything particularly out of line after the race, and telling them to stop talking isn't going to encourage them to try harder. The whole thing is just a very strange situation for Ferrari. Perhaps it is just the cracks showing after a very disappointing season, but either way, things at the team are not going well right now. What do you think of Elkann's comments? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.